Is it just me, or do a lot of grown men dress like little kids nowadays? I have a feeling that a lot of guys choose a specific style in their teens or in their 20s and then they never deviate from it, even when they're in their 40s. And that could be a street style, a skater style, or a hip-hop style. I think the older we get, all of those start to look a little bit ridiculous, at least in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every grown man should start wearing a suit, for example, but there are quite a few other options that are more casual than a suit, but they are still very appropriate for the age. So today we're looking at some of the most common mistakes that make men look like boys and also how to fix them. The first item we're looking at are t-shirts, and not just any t-shirts, but specifically we're looking at graphic t-shirts. So that could be any t-shirt with a big logo, or it could be with some kind of funny phrase. All of those, as a grown man, are usually not the most flattering option. And this is something that Adam Sandler does quite a bit, for example. If you look at a few of his outfits, here you can see he's wearing a Superman t-shirt. He's also wearing another graphic tee over here, another one over here, and then this one right here. All of them are also quite oversized. And in my opinion, this is really not a very flattering look. But if you look around, in most cities, this is something that you see many men wearing. And there's a very easy fix, because the first step would be to simply wear a very minimal and very well-fitting t-shirt. But if you want to stand out more from the crowd, because almost everybody is wearing some kind of t-shirt, then you can simply wear a nice looking polo shirt, or even better, you can wear a button-down shirt, you can wear a casual shirt or a dress shirt. The next item on the list would be shorts, and in this case we're talking about a very specific type of short. Now know that especially in the menswear community, there are a lot of guys who believe that no man under any circumstances should wear shorts. I do agree that every man always looks better in a regular pair of trousers compared to shorts, but at the same time I also agree that there's a time and place for almost anything. If it's extremely hot and you're just going for a walk around the city, or maybe also on holiday, I would definitely wear a pair of shorts. But when it comes to wearing shorts, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, in my opinion. And if we look again at Adam Sandler, you can see that the shorts are extremely wide and they also extend past the knee. And this is something that's usually not the most flattering look. And in my opinion, unless you're going on a hike or you're going fishing or anything in nature, you probably want to stay away from cargo shorts or functional shorts, and also try to avoid too many patterns. Just stick to a pair of very minimal chino shorts. The next item that makes men look like boys are backpacks. And I know that there's a time and place for everything. For example, if you're going on a hike, or maybe you have a small kid and you need to carry a lot of things around. I'm not really talking about those specific cases. What I'm talking about is what you wear to the office, for example, or when you just go to the city. In my opinion, in that case, something like a really nice looking leather bag is a much better option. This looks a lot more mature and classy, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on this, because if you're on a budget, you can actually get something like this secondhand. I bought this secondhand for $50, because if you buy something like this new, it can get really expensive, probably around $200, $300 and upwards. And one thing you also want to keep in mind is that you want to get a decent quality leather. You don't want to get something that looks cheap, and you also want to stay from bags like this that are made from polyester, because they also again look a little bit cheap. Another really good option would be a tote bag, or if you need a little bit more space, then you can also go for a nice leather or canvas weekender. The next item on the list would be ripped jeans. In my opinion, the older we get, the less appropriate this looks, and it's even worse if it's ripped jeans that are really skinny and also in a really light color, because those type of jeans just look a little bit cheap and they're really not flattering. And if you look around, the majority of guys are wearing some kind of jeans, and most of them are also not the nicest jeans. So the easiest way to stick out is to wear a nice minimal high quality pair of jeans, or even better, if you want to wear some chinos or some corduroy trousers, or maybe some wool trousers as well. All of those are fantastic options and a really nice way to step it up a notch. And in terms of colors, I think for linen trousers and chino trousers, in my opinion, the best one would be some kind of cream or sand, simply because khaki is a very, very common color out there, and I think cream looks a little bit more subtle, and you can combine them with pretty much anything you wear on your upper body. Different variations of gray would also be very versatile, or you could also go for dark green or navy. Now we're talking about footwear, and the most common type of shoe that you're going to see with men of any age are sneakers. It doesn't matter if it's a 7-year-old kid or a 50-year-old guy, the chances are pretty high that both of them are wearing almost an identical pair of shoes. If we look at Mark Wahlberg, for example, I'm a big fan of him as an actor, but in terms of style, I don't think that these really thick, athletic, high-top sneakers are the best choice to wear in your everyday life, especially if you're in your 40s or even beyond in your 50s. Again, it's also just my opinion, but I don't think it's the most flattering option, and I think that a lot of people would agree with me. And luckily, there are very easy ways to upgrade your footwear. On the more casual end, you would have something like this. So instead of having a high-top sneaker or sneakers with really thick soles or with the Nike logo, you would just go for a minimal sneaker with a thin sole, and ideally there would also be no logo. And as an alternative, if you want something a little bit more sporty and athletic, athletic, then a sneaker like this can also work very well. This one is in suede with the leather interior, and again you can see there's no logos. This would be really good, for example, if you have small children and you need to carry many things and walk around a lot, because compared to the majority of sneakers out there, they still look quite minimal and elegant. But I think an even better option would be some type of boot. Ideally, in my opinion, would be Chelsea boots or also chukka boots, because both of them are very masculine, and I think that even the guys who always say that men shouldn't care about the way they dress can't really argue with that. The next item on the list are sunglasses, but we're not talking about any sunglasses, we're talking about sunglasses that a little child would like to wear. And the ones that come to mind are the same ones that you would wear to any type of outdoor sports. If we type in, for example, a very generic search term on Google Images, so middle-aged man sunglasses, then some of the first photos that come to mind are exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see this guy, for example, or this guy with sunglasses like this, or the way they were actually intended to use, this guy here on a bicycle. Those are sunglasses that you see a lot of kids wearing, and there's still a lot of guys when they're in their 40s or 50s that are wearing this in their everyday life. If you wear them for the intended use, so that would be any type of outdoor activity, totally fine. But I think if you wear them to the office or for walking around the city, they're really not the most appropriate option. And you don't have to be an expert in sunglasses. There are so many good options. Just stick, for example, to one of the most iconic sunglasses, which would be the Ray-Ban Aviator glasses, because those sunglasses look good on almost anybody. But I would actually recommend you to go to your local shop and try a couple of sunglasses and figure out which ones you like and which ones look flattering on your face. Because sunglasses as an accessory, if they are worn the right way, can really enhance your outfit. The next item on the list would be watches, and I think one of the watches that is the most common among kids and then also later on among adults would be a G-Shock watch. And this is the first watch that I had as a kid, and I see still a lot of guys wearing the same watch in their 40s. And I'm not talking about guys that have to wear this when they're on their job. If you do manual labor, or if you're a policeman or fireman, or any of those type of jobs where you don't want to wear a dress watch for your everyday activities, that's totally fine. What I'm talking about is what you wear either to the office or outside of work, when you go to a restaurant, for example, or when you walk around the city. In my opinion, for a guy in their 30s or their 40s, wearing a big G-Shock watch, for example, or any type of oversized watch that looks a little bit childish is not the best look in my opinion. And the solution here is quite simple, because there are a lot of beautiful watches at many different price points. So even if you're on a budget, you can find something for around $100 that still looks decent and nice, and definitely better than the G-Shock watch. Good brands to start with, for example, would be Seiko or Orient or Tissot. If you look at the Seiko 5, for example, it's roughly at around $150. It's a very minimal watch that's quite elegant and it works at any age. Next up, we're talking about knitwear, and again there's a couple of items that make men look a little bit more childish, because those are the same items that you see on a 12-year-old and on many 40 or 50-year-olds, and the specific items I'm talking about would be hoodies or athletic sweatshirts. And in this case, again, if you look at Adam Sandler, this is a very good example, because he's wearing a lot of hoodies, a lot of sweaters. Unless you are a basketball coach, for example, if you wear this in everyday life, I don't think it's the most flattering option. There are quite a few other types of knitwear that you can try that are much more appropriate for the age. You can go for some simple turtlenecks, you can go for polo neck sweaters, regular crew neck sweaters, V-neck sweaters, or also cardigans. All of those are quite minimal and elegant, and they really make you stand out from the crowd, because if everybody around you is wearing hoodies or athletic sweatshirts and you're just wearing a simple turtleneck, then you look really well put together without standing out too much. And lastly, I would say to throw away any item that has holes or is dirty or damaged. Or if you don't want to throw them away, then just keep them for specific tasks like yard work, or when you're working on your car, for example. Any occasion like this where you don't want to get your nice clothes dirty. I think it's true for a lot of guys that we like to really hang on to old clothes, even when they are way past their prime. If you simply wear clean looking clothes that are well maintained and ironed, you're really gonna stand out from the crowd. And in the end, I think it's important to note that this is of course quite subjective, and also there's a time and place for almost anything. For example, especially if you have younger kids, then normally you lean a little bit more towards functionality, simply because if you have a 1-year-old kid, for example, you probably wouldn't walk around wearing a really nice cashmere sweater. In that case, you want something a little bit more functional, something that's easy to clean and that's still going to look good. And you probably care a little bit less about the way it looks. I'm pretty sure that there could be a lot of other items on the list, so if there's anything that you think should have been included, then let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.